Hey y'all, it's Johnny Mullet here. Today we're going to try something a little bit different. I got some kind of a video editor app for my tablet, so now I'm able to take short video clips and I'm able to trim them and edit them and then put them together in VoiceOver to actually make a complete video. So this is kind of new for me. We're going to see how this works out. This video today is about my typical work day. The footage that I have here I took over 2 days, but all in all it's going to describe what a typical work day for me is like as a diesel mechanic. So let's just get right into it and see how this works out, and check it out, guys. So here we're doing a state inspection for a fire truck emergency vehicle. We do a lot of these. Right now I'm jacking up the front end and making sure, the kingpins are tight and the front end's good and tight. Basically lights, brakes, that kind of stuff. State safety inspections. Like I said, I do have a safety inspection license and an emissions license for heavy trucks. I do have a CDL, so I can also inspect heavy duty trucks, cars, medium duty trucks, you name it, I can inspect it. So after that, check out these steps. Is that cool or what? That was the best part right there. I just had to show you guys them steps. All 4 doors have steps like that. So got this truck, got to do a state inspection, which also includes a test drive. So he's also complaining about a rubber burning smell when driving the truck, so I'm going to take her for a ride and get her back to the shop here and see what's going on with this burning rubber smell. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but we'll find out soon enough. Here you watch me split the gears, get into the high range. So, back to the shop. Let's see what's going on with this burning rubber smell we got going on. Look at that. Look at that gouge in that tire. I know I'm talking over myself, but there is a huge groove in the tire there. You can see it's plain as day. It's very deep. And it destroyed the tire. And look down there, there's a bolt that came out of the suspension hanger. Gouged right into that tire. So one of the other mechanics is going to go ahead and take care of this while I move on. So the bolt came loose and went into the tire. I had a truck in here a couple days ago. Wow. I had it checked out for inspection. It needed some brake work and stuff, so the parts came in. So I'm going to go ahead and get this truck here together. So this part of the video is sped up 2 times the speed, so bear with me. This is not how fast I work, and if I did, that would be crazy. I'd get a lot more done, but anywho, you can see the shiny new rotor on the hub that I am installing on the front axle, and I'm putting the bearings in, and I'm going to preload and set the bearings. And this truck here needed front rotors and front brake pads, and it also needed rear brake pads and rear calipers, because the rear brakes were hanging up and burning, and they needed replaced. They were done. So here I'm going to go ahead and tighten up this front wheel bearing, and then what I'll do is I'll get it so tight to a point, and then I'll give it a spin, tighten it some more, give it a spin, and then we go ahead and we'll back it off. This particular truck is a 2004 C4500 Chevy Kodiak. It's not a diesel. It actually has the big 8.1 liter Vortec in it. So this is one of them big old honking big block V8s in this baby. It's Chevrolet's answer to Ford and Dodge's V10. Great motor. It's got over 200,000 miles on it. It's been well taken care of. This truck has served this company pretty well. So we got the preload set, good to go. Slap the cover on. Let's do the front brakes. Installing the caliper. This is a 4-piston caliper. If I was just changing the brake pads, it would be easy. The brake pads would slide right out of those slots. So everything's cleaned up. I'm lubricating with this high temp silicone, oh I'm sorry, not silicone, it's synthetic brake grease. So everything's lubed up and we'll get the pads in there. Now, let's not forget I'm doing both sides of this vehicle, not just the side I'm showing you here. So we'll get the pads set in there, and then there's like this little anchor piece that goes on there. And then we're gonna, after I get that done, we're gonna move to the back wheel. Both back wheels I have to bleed the brake system out because I replaced the calipers. So I'm gonna have an assistant actually help me bleed the brakes out, and we'll get this thing on the road again and get it back in service. Big old honking wheel, 19.5 inch. These tires are a pain to change. They are not easy to break down off of the rim and put the new tires on, even with a tire machine. They are impossible. Other work that was done to this truck is we put 4 new dry tires on it, and we did some fuel line work to it. But yeah, it's been a good truck going on. And now we're going to go ahead and move to the back and bleed the rear brakes out. I have an assistant jump in the truck and get her done.
Go ahead and step on the pedal. Okay, let up. I want to do it one more time. Go ahead and step on it. All right, we're good. Let up.
Okay, here we go. Rusty snowplow truck. Blew a brake line. Actually, both rear brake lines, the one to each wheel and one to the right front, rotted out. So we're going to remove this rotten line here. You can actually see it drip right there, and that's where the spot was that it was rusted out and leaking out. So we do lots and lots of brake lines. We do many, many brake lines. This is what you get for living in the Rust Belt. This is one crusty, slimy, rusty old plow truck here. So we use CNC line. It's a very malleable, very workable line. It's much better than working with steel line, and it's also high pressure. It's really good stuff. So there, I cut the piece off that I measured out that I needed to replace that, and I got my flaring tool set up. So what this is a double flare, and I'm going to clamp the line in to the proper height on the tool. This little adapter goes into the line, and then the beveled press will press the adapter down into the line to make the first part of the double flare. After that, we pop the adapter out, and we're going to do the second part of the double flare. Now this is not 2x speed, this is actually normal speed. So we'll go ahead and we'll crank her in one more time, and that gives us our double flare. Most important thing is don't forget to put your line end on before you flare. This one here, I'm actually flaring both sides, so I am going to remember to put both the nuts on in the proper direction before flaring the other side. So there's a sweet little flare there. We'll grab the new nuts. We'll slide one on facing that direction and the other one facing the other direction. Now we can go ahead and do the double flare on this side. Also, let's remember that I'm doing both sides of that rear axle and a line on the right front. So I had to use a screwdriver there because sometimes when you cut the line, it bevels it in a little bit, and you got to open the hole up to get your adapter in there. So here we're about ready to finish up this line, and we're going to get this installed. And there, my friends, is your completed brake line, ready to install on the truck. So like I said, this CNC line is very bendable, very malleable. It doesn't kink that easy, so it's easy to install and form to the proper places it needs to go, so it can go into its factory brackets, basically. So you're going to see me tighten the line up, and then you'll see me back it off, and then tighten it, and then back it off again. What that does is it actually helps the line form into its coupling, and it gives it a really good tight seal. So it's always good to back it off, tighten it, back it off, tighten it again. So we'll form the line, we'll get it back into its clamps, and we will do the other side. I had to work on the brake bleeders, the rear wheel cylinders, the bleeders. I had to work on them to get them out. And I'll show you what happened when I tried to do the one on the front. It just would not come loose. It was fighting me the whole way, and I had to make it happen. So sometimes you can't afford to replace wheel cylinders and calipers on a rusty old truck. You know, this old plow truck is just for plowing the guy's driveway, and you go sewing on brake lines, and then if you don't even attempt to save the calipers and try to get the bleeders out, then it's just going to cost the customer that much more money. You know, calipers can be expensive. I do want to say, hey, I got no safety glasses on here, so you can bust my balls. I should have been wearing my safety glasses on this part of the video. Sometimes it happens, you just get into the moment and you forget. But anyway, this socket that is on that bleeder valve is actually 2 sizes smaller than the original 7/16. So I had a 7/16 on there, and I rounded off, and then I beat a 10 millimeter on there, and it rounded off. So I'm beating the caliper around the perimeter of the bleeder, trying to break the rust loose. This 9 millimeter socket, I beat it on there really tight, so it's really tight. It's not going to round off, but man, it just will not budge. It's just not coming loose. So it's time to break out the fire. Exactly like I said earlier, I should have had safety glasses on for this. So please wear safety glasses when working with fire, rust, hammers. So the flame's a little hot there. Let me turn that baby down. I don't want to burn the damn thing up. So what I want to do is I want to heat the area around the bleeder and get the metal soft. So if it's liquid, it can't be tight. Basically what we're doing is we're going to heat up around the area. You can see the smoke starting to come out of the middle of the socket. That means it's actually penetrating through the bleeder. So it's just about there. We're almost ready to go here. Now let's get that ratchet on there and see if this baby breaks loose. If it does, it's a big win. And we have a win. Check it out. So we were able to bleed the system out and get this plow truck back in service. Customer's happy. They got their plow truck back. We didn't cost them a fortune replacing all the calipers and everything. We just replaced exactly what it needs for repairs. Good to go. This next job here is a 2017 F550 Super Duty with the big old 6.7 liter Power Stroke diesel engine. We're going to do a complete service on this truck. Includes oil change, oil filter, fuel filter, grease job, fluid level check, air tires, and they're also complaining about brakes being soft. So basically we're going to drain the oil, pop the oil filter off, and do it up. The 6.7 liter diesel engine for Ford is actually a pretty good engine. Ford, the 7.3 was their best diesel engine to date. And then International introduced the 6.0 liter, and it turned out to be a terrible, unreliable engine. And then after that, in 2008, was it 2008? Up until 2008 or so, they come out with the 6.4 liter diesel engine, which was even worse than the 6.0. So International and Ford had a bitter divorce on the diesel engine. So Ford actually built this engine. This is a Ford design engine, and they actually did a good job. Now granted, it is a emissions engine. It's got the DEF fluid and all the emission stuff on it, but it's a pretty reliable engine. We're not seeing any problems with the 6.7-liter diesel engine. Make sure you wipe up all your oil, because if you don't, you're just being lazy, and if you leave a mess like that and you don't wipe it up, the customer takes the vehicle back to the garage or back to the driveway and they see drips, they're going to call you and say, hey, I had an oil leak. So always wipe up your mess. Now this is the fuel filter at the rear. They changed this filter in 2017 and up. They got this rear filter with the paint in the butt. It's messy. They say you open the drain and let it drain out, but every time I tried that, man, more than 2 gallons come out and it just never stops draining. So I'm going to use my speeder wrench here, and we're just going to remove the filter and wait for the fountain of diesel fuel to drop out of this baby. There we go, diesel fuel up to the armpits. The earlier 6.7 liters had a fuel filter about midship on the frame rail, and for some reason they redesigned it and moved it back here. I don't know why. It's much more difficult. As you see, the filter doesn't look very dirty, but every 10,000 miles this truck is in service. So we'll pop the old filter out, we'll clean up the housing, get everything cleaned up, install a new seal, and put this fuel filter back together. This is 2 times speed, by the way, on this portion. Just for the sake of time, I didn't want to drag this video out too long, bore you all to death or anything, but, you know, typical work day at the shop. This is what I do every single day. Not this in particular, but all kinds of stuff. I could make thousands of hours of videos of the different stuff I do. Specialize in a lot of medium-duty trucks, but I also do heavy trucks, and I do cars. So we're going to get this fuel filter installed and get that baby done. While I was under there, I took a flashlight and I looked into all the brakes. I did notice the rear brakes were starting to crumble and become unbonded. So I got to pull the rear wheels off, and we got to see what's going on here. We got to check the brakes, and if they're bad, we got to replace them so we can get this truck back in service. This truck is not making money if it's sitting still. We'll plug in the connector, and that part is done. So we're going to air the tires. You got to think I got 6 tires on this vehicle that I need to air up. I think it was 95 PSI. They were down about 3 or 4 pounds, so we'll set them back up to spec. Make sure the tires are good to go. We also look for damage, you know, visually check out for any curb marks and cracks and dry rot and tread separation, that kind of stuff. Now we actually had these wheels off of this truck about 7 or 8 months ago. We changed the rear drive tires, and even though we had these wheels off, they are always a pain. I don't know what it is with Ford, but removing wheels on their medium and heavy duty trucks is a pain in the butt. Excuse me. A little bit of lubricating oil, and let's go ahead and rip this wheel off. Now you think when the lug nuts are off, the wheel's just going to fall right off, but no, not in this case. I'm going to screw one nut back on for safety so it don't fall off and hit the ground. And 20-pound sludge will hit the tire, hit the rim. It moved. There she goes. Look at that. But it's usually the inside rim that gives you the problems. We have actually had some of these so bad that we had to use a torch and heat the perimeter of the rim around the hub to get them to break loose. So we'll put another nut back on here for safety, and we're going to give it a few whacks. No go, no go. We're gonna hit the steel. Boom. Nope, didn't budge. Hit the steel again. Boom. Nope, didn't budge. Let's go to the other side. Give it a couple whacks. Rubber, rubber, steel. Nope, not moving. It's not easy swinging a 20-pound sledgehammer for, you know, all that time to remove wheels. It's a pain in the butt. So there's the nut for safety. I gotta crawl onto the ground and crawl underneath the lift. And we gotta beat this wheel from the inside to get it to move. And if it doesn't come loose then we break out the fire. That's a win. Alright, let's get this beast off of here and go see what we got going on with the brakes. So, like I said before, I looked in there with a flashlight. I could see they were crumbling and coming unbonded. So let's go ahead and pull the caliper off and see what we got going on. Now remember, I got to do both sides of the vehicle. I'm only showing you the one side. Nobody's going to sit here and watch a video for 2 hours of me working. So I did get this condensed to about 33 minutes. Not bad. When I first started, it was over an hour.
Horn blows!
Oh, drop the ratchet. Well, manpower. Come on, fingers. Get this bolt out of here. We don't need no ratchet. So we get the caliper bolts out, and we'll go ahead and pry the caliper loose and take a look at the pads. And just as I suspected, I seen them from the inside. They were starting to come unbonded, and that's causing a soft brake pedal, because when the friction material comes unbonded from the backing plate, it gives you a soft brake pedal. Now usually you got to beat these out with a hammer, but I got lucky this time and they came right out. So I'm trying to show you the unbonding. You can see it's all crumbly and crap. So time for new brake pads. Since I'm waiting for the brake pads to show up from our vendor, I am going to go ahead and finish the service on the truck, which includes greasing the chassis and checking the fluid levels. What I did not show you in this video is the under hood fuel filter and adding the oil and starting the engine and all that. The other fuel filter is pretty basic. It's got some lines on it, and you twist it out of its hole and pop in the new filter and you're done. To prime the system with these trucks, you turn the key on for 20 seconds, shut it off. Turn the key on for 20 seconds, shut it off. Turn the key on for 20 seconds and shut it off 3 times, and then the vehicle is primed and it's ready to start. So my parts still didn't show up by the time I got the grease done and all that stuff, so I guess I'll go ahead and fix this marker light that's out. It's a LED bullet style light. We changed lots of these. We're just going to cut the wire and get it out of there. Now, a little tech tip for anybody doing electrical or light work: don't leave the lights on while you're doing it, because there's a good chance you're going to short out the wire against the ground somewhere and blow a fuse. But I left the lights on, you know, just for the video, so you guys could get a general idea, watch it all happen, watch it all take place. So basically, I stripped the 2 wires from the old light. I installed the new butt connectors. And we're going to splice the wires from the original wiring harness to the new bullet light. It is a single LED light, and these things go out all the time. We actually stock a bunch of them. LEDs just ain't what they used to be. As you can see, I'm fumbling with my crippled ass hands. My arthritis, it's terrible, but I get the job done. That's all that matters. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to keep doing this stuff, but here we go. Come on, Thumbelina. Get it in there. So we'll go ahead and crimp the new LED light into the wiring, and you'll see it light up, and bam, it's going to be another win. Sometimes it's wiring. Sometimes we'll find bad wiring from the salt and corrosion, and the light itself is actually fine, but in this particular case, it just happened to be the light. So here we're lubing up the caliper pins, cleaning off. Usually these require a lot of heat and fire to get out, but fortunately these pins came right out. So we're able to clean off the old lube, lubricate the pins, lubricate the perches, and we'll get the new brake pads installed. After every repair, you got to do a post-repair test drive. It's very important to test drive your vehicle after the repairs also, because anytime you're working with the brakes and stuff, anything can happen. A caliper can start hanging up, or something starts vibrating. You just don't know. So after you do your repairs, you want to make sure it's good to go. Make sure it's all set. Very important. Test drive. And no day is complete without doing a set of tires. So here we have a F-250 Super Duty truck that needed 4 tires before winter. So this is one of the 4 tires that I'm going to mount and balance today. but for some reason they really wouldn't, the air pressure from the machine wouldn't have enough power to seat the bead when airing the new tire up on the rim. So in order to make it work, I actually had to use a cheetah tool to blast air into the tire to inflate it and make sure it seats. So you're going to see me using the cheetah here in a second once I get those babies mounted up. And we'll hook the air hose up to it. And we'll grab the old cheetah and give it a good old blast of air. Just like that. So anyway, this is just the last part of the video here of me putting the wheel on the truck and tightening her down. That's pretty much a typical day for me. Lots of tires, lots of inspections, lots of brake work, brake lines. I mean, we pretty much do all kinds of stuff here. So everything, even engine swaps, transmission swaps, and so forth. So at the shop, thankfully here, we don't do too much road service and service calls because I'm glad I'm done with that. And it's pretty dangerous out there on the road, especially in today's world. So not doing service calls anymore like I used to in the past. That's a big plus. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope it worked out, and I hope it come out all right. So we're gonna get this shit uploaded. So be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. It should get a little bit interesting here down the road. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.